Hi friends, today we're going to talk about everything I watched in February. It may have been a short month, but I tell you, I watched a lot. I gave it a run for its money, and if you've been keeping up with my channel, you'll know why. I'm also dying to talk about TV shows this month because, wow. But first, I want to thank today's sponsor, Surfshark, who makes all of this possible. Surfshark is a VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network. Not only do they encrypt all of your data and protect you while you're surfing online, they also can unlock geo-block content. A good VPN is my secret weapon to unlocking and watching a lot of content I don't currently have access to. And Surfshark is not only incredibly affordable, but it's also accessible on all of my devices. I can use my one account on unlimited devices, so I can use it on my laptop, on my smart TV, on my phone, when I travel, everywhere. Surfshark also have a 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee, so if you want to check it out and if you're curious about a VPN, I highly recommend checking it out. And if it's not for you, you can get your money back within 30 days, no questions asked. And bonus, use my code SPOOKY, you'll get 83% off and 3 months extra for free. That's the code SPOOKY. I've also left the link in the description down below. Thank you so much to Surfshark for sponsoring creators like me. And let's get through everything I watched. As always, I'm using Letterboxd to show this. I also want to say, just before we get into these movies, I'm totally fine by the way, but I'm going to Japan, which is amazing. Unfortunately, the dates collide with the premiere of Scream 6, so I will not be covering Scream 6 on this channel. If I do, it won't be until the end of March, start of April. Such unfortunate timing. I just was not aware of the release date when I booked my trip, and I'm very excited to go. So for me, it's worth it because it's a trade-off. It's my holiday that I get for the year and I very much need it, but I'm really sad about that. And I was going to cover Scream when I was in Japan, but it looks like Scream 6 is not coming out in Japan. If that changes, you'll see me. If not, don't tell me anything. I just wanted to let you all know because I know I'll get a lot of questions about it. Unfortunately, whatever month I pick, there's always going to be clashes. But yeah, I'm pretty sad about it. But let's get into what I watched this month. I watched Knock at the Cabin, which I did a review on, and I read the book straight after. I listened to the audiobook, I should say, and I did a comparison of what happens and the differences and all the meanings and themes. And yeah, I enjoyed that a lot more than other people, I think. I feel like I have a soft spot for M. Night and a lot of people don't, but I enjoyed it, and very interesting because I saw the movie before I read the book. I think I liked the movie better. I then watched Alice Darling. This is a film that came out last year for a lot of people, but it just, I think, hit VOD. I saw a lot of split reviews on it, but I thought it was really well done and very powerful. It is about Anna Kendrick, who is in a abusive relationship, and her reconnecting with her friends when she's away. And it's a very slow, dramatic story that is all about the subtleties, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, pretty sensitive subject matter, but I think it was done really well. I then watched the Pamela, A Love Story documentary that's on Netflix, and I really liked this. She's very likable. It's hard not to like her especially after hearing this story. It's always really interesting how you see people through pop culture, and then it like kind of switches when you learn the stories behind it. I did not know the story about the tape and how that happened, so that was really interesting. If you're not too sure about watching this, I would recommend it. It's very interesting the way they did the story, because although a lot of these documentaries obviously are meant to make someone's image improve in the spotlight, Pamela Anderson does this without any makeup, and she says she's never going to watch it when they're recording her. It's coming from like a very different perspective, as I feel like the filmmakers just approached her, and it just so happened that she said yes to the whole ordeal, especially because there was just the TV show, the Tommy and Pamela TV show, that she really didn't like. I think that it gave the opportunity for this kind of documentary about her and her side of the story to happen, and I just think it's just really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. It's a little bit long, but I enjoyed it. I watched The Estate. I'm trying to remember this. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to scrub it from my memory. This was so bad. Why? Oh my gosh. Some of you guys liked it. I thought this was it. The cast is why I watched this film. Toni Collette, Anna Faris. I love Anna Faris. And I obviously love Toni Collette. And I thought that this was going to be amazing. It's like the whole idea about everyone in the family is just horrendous, and they're trying to get money from someone in their family who is sick. They want to lock down that will. And it's, I don't know, I just found the humor in it was really weird and, yeah, over the edge. There's a lot of strange jokes, and I just felt like it was a waste of talent. Like, it just felt awkward and strange, and everything we've seen in these cliche films before, it's almost like it was a movie that was taking the piss out of those movies because it was so bad. Anyway, I don't want to forget about that. Let me know if you've seen it and if you liked it. I watched The Messengers. I watched this in bed on like a Sunday. I was like, I just want to put on a horror movie. And do you guys ever go into different streaming platforms and just scroll until you find a horror movie that you've never seen? I do think I've seen this movie, but I don't remember it. Kristen Stewart. This was bad. I mean, look at the score. It's horrendous. It's almost hard to watch. It's almost unwatchable, I should say. So the film is about a girl who moves to a small town into a haunted house. Her brother's not talking and her parents don't trust her because of some incident that happened with her brother. And then there's some CGI crows. That's basically it. I would not recommend it. I watched Baby Ruby and I did a review for this for my patrons. If you're not a patron, I do bonus videos every single week. More chatty, laid back kind of style. Kind of like this. It's only $2 a month and you get bonus videos every single week. It's always linked down below in my description bar. But Baby Ruby, I was interested in because it has a really good cast. I'm not going to pronounce this woman's name again. I did it once on my channel. I talked about this movie on my What's Coming to VOD. She was in Tar, she was in Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And unfortunately, I found this to be another kind of run-of-the-mill like pregnancy horror. And I know that there's obviously, just like any other theme and idea within horror, there's always a place for that, but I felt like this was a little bit cliche and the editing was like, the stylization was so over the top because there was no real tension between the characters. They tried to like pull that in. I watched a little bit. I mean, I kind of topped and tailed this month with watching pregnancy horror. And yeah, it just wasn't one of my favorites. I didn't feel like it added anything extra to the conversation. Something I did find interesting was that the mum was like a mummy blogger, or I guess like just a blogger, and then she became a mummy blogger. And I thought that was a good idea to mix into these themes because usually the, pregnancy horror is about how a woman feels when she's pregnant and all of society's expectations. So I thought that was a really interesting way with showing like the glamorized side of blogging and how everything is meant to be polished and clean. They didn't go very far with it, which was unfortunate, I thought. Next, I watched Consecration. I hope I'm saying that right. This is a Scottish film and it's about Grace, who travels to a Scottish nunnery where her brother has unfortunately died. It is Jenna Malone. It was not my favorite. I was not a fan of this one. It's kind of bizarre the whole way it came together, and the mystery in it is just not very compelling. Obviously, it's like a murder mystery where we're trying to figure out how this happened, and I felt like it was really convoluted, and it was so sad because the landscape was beautiful. It was just like these stunning aspects of it, and then just very complicated story that didn't really make much sense and didn't give much payoff. So I probably wouldn't recommend that one. I watched A Lonely Place to Die. I watched a lot of movies that I don't think were very good this month. This was smack bang in the middle for me, which is 2.5. This is a movie about, this is Melissa George, right? That's who that is, right? Yes. She's Australian, I believe. And it's kind of like a thriller where they're going hiking, a group of friends going hiking, and then they see something insane. Something that really gripped me was the story behind it. I just did not see where it was going, because when people do these kind of like isolation horrors, or like when they're in extreme situations, or the landscapes, and we see films like 127 Hours or 47 Meters Down, where it's kind of obvious that something is going to happen with the location. And in this one, there's kind of like a difference to it, which I thought was really interesting. And then they bring a whole like crime element into it. So I felt like the story was like fun enough, but there just wasn't much more to it. The characters were a little bit bland, but it has like, I think it's like an easygoing kind of like Sunday night mystery crime. So if you're into that, it's not bad, but I just don't think it's, that I probably forgot about it straight afterwards, but it was a time filler, I watched Trans-Siberian. I feel like I'm saying that strange. Everything I say. This is a movie that's been on my to-watch list for a very long time, and Woody Harrelson, I like have so much time for him after Triangle of Sadness. I feel like when you see him, you think of like comedic roles, but he's like a great actor that has really morphed into a bunch of different things, and I'm sure everyone already knows that, but I kind of just came to that conclusion recently. This is a kind of like a crime, it's like a dark crime movie. I was gonna put it in a disturbing video and I don't think I did. I might in the future, but I was watching it for something like that. It's about a train journey from China to Moscow. This American couple meets another couple and their interaction changes the course of events. It's a movie where it has like another twist in it that you just don't see coming, and it changes the whole effect and how the film flows on. And it's very much a movie about how you are perceived now compared to who you were or who you really are inside. So I thought it was really interesting and layered. I do think that one's a good use of your time. Next, I watched Bang Bang You're Dead. I'm not going to put the poster up because it's really inappropriate. But basically this movie, I think a lot of Americans watching this will know it. I think I talked about it. I don't know where I talked about it. Maybe it was on my Discord. And some people said that they used to watch it all the time as a kid. And very interesting film to choose for that. It has Ben Foster, and he is like a kid at school who's done something horrendous and is kind of like a risk. And a lot of people are scared of him. And it's about his image and being like the outcast in school and how that can lead, I mean, look at the name, how that can lead to certain things happening in schools in certain places of the world, if you get what I mean. The blurb says, a troubled and bullied high school student fights against judgment from his community after threatening to the football team. I think that this film is very high school drama, after school special, and yeah, I thought it was a bit average. I know a lot of you probably really like this film and it's like wrapped in nostalgia because I just know that it was a lot bigger when it came out in America, but I had never heard of it, so I watched it recently. Boxing Helena. This is a film I talked about in my recent disturbing videos. I love doing those disturbing videos and I love so much that you guys like them too. What a movie. What an intense ride. And I also found out in that Julian Sands is missing. I had no idea, so thanks for all the comments about that. That's very sad. Anyway, if you do want to learn more about that, go watch that disturbing video. I can't even explain. I watched The Silence. This again was going to be, I don't think I mentioned it, but I watch a bunch of stuff when I'm doing a disturbing video, trying to find stuff that you guys haven't seen and making sure it's up to scratch. This is based on a German novel and it's about a horrendous event that happens with two men. It's actually quite compelling. Maybe I did talk. I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not. I've had a long month. But it is a very disturbing movie, drama, goes for about 2 hours, and it's about this event that happened 20 odd years ago and how it comes back to haunt these people later. It's just like this weird situation where you witness someone doing something and what you do about it and how that affects you later in life, if that makes sense. So it's like a crime drama, but I found it very disturbing. I watched An Ideal Host. This is my friend Rob's movie. He is a patron who I got to meet through the Patreon, and he lives in Perth, and I go to see movies all the time with him now, which is really nice. And he made a movie. This was a low budget film that was shot where I am in Western Australia. I actually really enjoyed it. We watched it with a bunch of patrons in my tier 3. And he rated it 3. That's so funny. It was just really well thought out, and it has, I don't want to ruin it. It's about an evening with a really uptight protagonist who it turns out she's got to battle more than the different personalities around the table. Let's just say that. Yeah, if you can seek it out, it's on Tubi. And if you want to support someone in the community, I highly recommend it. Then I watched Swallowed, which I did a review on. I really enjoyed this film. The more I think about it, the more I enjoy it. But I love this poster. I think it's just so intense. But this was Jenna Malone in her prime. This is what I wanted from her this month, and I finally got it after that Nun movie. But it's an indie film, and it's about two best friends who are having their last night together before one moves away, and how everything just unravels into this nightmare after they make a pit stop on the way home. And I think the acting in it is really compelling, especially between the main characters. I feel like they really got the chemistry right, and I can't wait to see what's next for this director. I watched Missing, which I did do a Patreon come with me for, if you want to go check that out. And I really enjoyed this one. So I really liked Searching, and there's just something about these kinds of like thrillers that are on screen, and just modern thrillers really, that are kind of like popcorny. They're easy to digest, and it's just about like pulling you along. It's so fun. It's so fun and it's so thrilling. This one, I felt like it was really tightly wound, and it was so interesting because even though everything seemed obvious, they really kept the audience exactly where they wanted them, and you just could not predict what was coming next until it was right about to happen. And it was just very smart that way. It made you feel like a smart audience member, which I think is really hard to do in films, to present every single aspect and have all of the puzzle pieces in front of you, but still hold back a little bit. And I felt like the twists and turns were just so unpredictable, so I really enjoyed that. It's just a very fun popcorn movie, so if you haven't checked it out, I do recommend it. And if you like films that are within screens, definitely check it out. By the way, it's about a mother who goes missing and her daughter who's trying to find out where she is, even though she's in a different country. So she has to use all of these different means to try and access information. So it's a good investigation movie. I then watched Winnie the Pooh. So you've seen that. If you've seen that, you've seen that. But I did a review on it, and you know what? I had so much fun just chatting with everyone in the comment sections about it. I don't know, it kind of turned out to be a positive experience for me, because although the movie was not great, it was just really interesting what kind of dialogue it opened up about these kinds of films. So yeah, I'm not mad about it, especially because of what came next. Can you believe I did this to myself? I watched Children of the Corn, Children of the Corn 2, Children of the Corn 3, Children of the Corn 4, Children of the Corn 5, and then I watched Children of the Corn 666. I did a whole ranking on it. If you do want to watch it before the new Children of the Corn comes out, I do highly recommend it. I'll give you a whole play-by-play. I'll explain who walks behind the rose. If you want to know everything about Children of the Corn before seeing the new one, because the new one is going to be a remake, that's where you want to go. I watched it so you don't have to, okay? In the middle, I did have a break and I watched Revenge, which is so random. This was a rewatch. If you have not seen Revenge, it is a brutal horror movie, very action-packed, very interesting the way it's directed, the way it's stylized, the cinematography. It is directed by a female director, and it is like a revenge film, so the perspective on it is really interesting, because it does have like the male gaze at points, and you just wonder like what you're meant to be thinking, and it's a really good one to discuss. I watched it with a bunch of patrons and we were discussing that afterwards, and it's a really well done film. It's hard to watch and it gets so bloody. Like the gore in it is insane, and something that a lot of people said when this film came out in 2017 is that they weren't happy with the plot holes or the inconsistencies to, I guess, what was true. And yeah, there's a lot of things in there that just doesn't seem like it would happen. So if you're mad by that kind of stuff and that kind of stuff just ruins a film for you, it probably won't work for you, because there's a lot of stuff you have to suspend your belief like all the way, you know? So I got to do that in the middle, and then I went back, I watched Children of the Corn Revelation, Children of the Corn Genesis, Children of the Corn, I can't even, Children of the Corn Runaway, and then Children of the Corn. I think I flipped those two. But anyway, so then that's the remake. But I did watch them all in order. When I logged them, I think I logged them after I watched them all. So yeah, this is a little bit out of order. Look at how the last 4 have the exact same poster. Is that not wild to you guys? Look at that. That's so crazy to me. Oh my God. Like the exact same stylization, coloring. And the thing is, it's not like any of these films actually match, which is why it's so wild. They have nothing to do with each other. So that's really funny to me. That's so wild. Why did they do that? So that started with 6. I never realized that until seeing, I guess it started with 2. Anyway, we've done enough corn. I need to get out of the cornfield. Although I will return. I've been lucky enough to lock down a screener for the new I'm so lucky, of the new Children of the Corn film, which is really exciting because we're not getting it in theaters in Australia, and because I'm going to Japan, I get to see it beforehand. So I will do a review for you guys. I then watched Infinity Pool. A lot of you guys kept asking my comments to watch this one, and it didn't come to cinemas in Australia, which was really unfortunate. I got to watch it and I adore it. It was really interesting reading all of your comments because I saw how many people just did not like it, and I kind of knew when I watched it that it was going to be a bit dry for people. It's not the body horror we're used to where it's like over stylized and really dramatic. It's very dry and muted, and it was just really interesting compared to how intoxicating and dangerous the storyline is and how wild. It was just the most wild movie ever. So I really enjoyed that. I think that might be my favorite horror for this year so far. I then watched Cocaine Bear, and a lot of you guys have been loving this film. I've been loving seeing people that I also follow in the community on Instagram and stuff saying they're going to go see it and really enjoying it. So that's really cool. A lot of you in the comments also said the same thing. I did a whole review on that if you want to check that out. But yeah, look at these stars. People, except for this person, except for who is this? Except for Evan, he did not like it. Oh no, Evan. Better luck next time. There's apparently a bunch of films that are like gonna be made from this, I think. I rewatched Nina Forever and May, and I did this for A Does This Offend You, which is a stream I do with Nightmare Maven. If you haven't checked out our channel, please do. My friend Vicky. We did a stream talking about both of these films, and these were rewatches for me. I've reviewed both of these films before on my channel, and I went back and watched my Nina Forever review because it's from 6 years ago. I've been doing this for 8 years now. I honestly didn't give this film enough credit. If you have not seen Nina Forever, I highly recommend it. It's billed as a comedy, but it's about a relationship between a man and a woman, and his ex has unfortunately passed away. She comes back and kind of haunts their relationship, and it's about, you know, moving on and grief and new relationships and carrying that emotional baggage. And it's done so well because it's such a metaphor in plain sight, and it's such a beautiful indie film, and I really, really, really love that film, and I'm so glad I got to rewatch it. And of course, I've spoken about May so many times. I think I've done 2 reviews on May. So if you have not seen May, Lucky McKee's best movie, one of the greatest. It's Angela Bettis. It's got Anna Faris in it, and it's just the layered ideas behind this film. After you watch this film, go to IMDb and look in the trivia, and you'll see so many different ways that the film can be interpreted. Like, I think it's just such a fantastic film. Just stands the test of time, and every time you watch it, you probably take something else away from it, and I absolutely love it. By the way, it's about a woman who does not feel like she fits into society and just wants a friend and just wants someone to like her the way she is. It's absolutely fantastic. And then I watched Sharper. This is a new crime thriller, twisting and turning to oblivion. I just loved all the twists and turns in this film. Julianne Moore, and it was so funny because I put it on and my partner was in the room with me, but he said, oh, I'm going to go to bed soon. I'm like, I bet you after you see the first 15 minutes of this, it's going to grab you. Because I just had a feeling with how other people were talking about it. I don't think that the film, it's like a filler film where I think that it's really thrilling, don't get me wrong, and it was really fun to watch. I don't think it's anything like that is so spectacular, but I thought it was a really cool twisty ride, and a lot of it doesn't really make much sense, but it's one of those films that kind of trick you to the end, and I enjoyed that. You just know that there's more around each corner, so if you like thrillers that just keep twisting and twisting, I think this film has like 6 twists in it. I would recommend it. I think it's a cool film, especially to watch with someone else and discuss, because it's so wild to the end. I then watched When You Finish Saving the World. I really enjoyed this movie. So funny, Julianne Moore's in this, and such a different character, but Finn Wolfhard is in this. He is fantastic in this role. I absolutely adored him in this because he plays this character to a T. It's a really interesting film about Julianne Moore, a mother who works in a facility helping women who have been abused in abusive relationships, like a shelter. And he's a kid who really values different things in life. He makes music, and he has like a social following, and he can't help but tell everyone every time he meets them. And he just does not get it. And it's just really interesting seeing their worlds collide and how they react to different people because of each other. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a really cool character study about 2 different, like a mother and son who are completely different, and how they move through the world and interact together. And I cried at the end. I thought it was, really well done. I do recommend it. It's a very strange movie, but in a good way, like just just a very strange structure that you're like, what are they trying to, like, where is this going? It's pretty obvious what they're trying to say, but where is this going? I then watched The Bone Woman. This is a movie that I talked about in my What's Coming to VOD this month. This is a Mexican film. It's very beautiful. The pastels and everything it kind of morphs into slowly is really interesting. But I do think that the trailer really hurt me for this film because it showed it more as like an intense horror where it's more of a psychological film. But it's also got beautiful like folklore ties into it and religion and beliefs. Kind of a more towards the end side of it, and I wish it was kind of sprinkled more throughout. It's about a woman who is pregnant and she thinks that this is what she really wants, but it turns out that when she is faced with a new life, like everything that's haunting her comes to the surface. So again, another pregnancy horror, someone dealing with that. But this one, I really liked the way it ended. Mexican horror, I don't get to see a lot, but when I do, it always surprises me. And I just wish that there was more. I mean, look at this poster. I wish there was more aspects like this. I felt like it was a little bit more drama than horror. It's a little bit more subtle, and that's not its fault. Like, that's fine, but I just felt like the trailer really showed all the cool parts, and I thought it was going to be more like horrifying and more paranormal because of that, but it's really more psychological. So that's everything I watched in terms of movies. Oh my god, I watched so many movies, and there's so many good recommendations in there, depending on what you like. But let's talk about TV shows. I've only got 2 TV shows to talk about. First, Poker Face. Love it. Love it. Very much into it. I do have like a little qualm with the structure, but basically it's this really fun Natasha Lyonne project. She is just herself, you know what I mean? Like she always is. She is herself and she is lovable, more lovable than ever. And she is this woman who gets into a sticky situation, but she has this really interesting talent where she can tell, no matter how people phrase whatever they're saying, if they believe in it or if they're like telling the truth or lying. She can tell if someone's bullshitting her basically. And somehow it links her in to a murder mystery in every single episode. It's like a murder mystery show because she can tell who's lying, but it's not like she's a detective or anything. She just keeps popping up in these different situations. So basically the structure works every episode after they've kind of set up the plot. Every episode she's like in a new location and something happens, a crazy murder mystery happens, and then she's able to detect it. But the structure is the same in every single episode, which sometimes makes it for something fun to kind of like pick back up and watch sometimes, and you don't have to really know what was happening in the last episode to keep going. They're just like these fun kind of like mini murders, these fun murders, these fun like mini mysteries. But the structure is the same in every single one. Like you find out exactly what's happening and how it happened, and then it goes backwards to her figuring it out, which I wish sometimes you were figuring it out at the same time as her. It'd make it a little bit more compelling, but maybe I'll change it. I don't know. That's my only qualm with it, but I really enjoyed it. So I highly recommend checking out at least like the first 3 episodes and see if it's for you. Lots of cool cameos in there, lots of twisted stories, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And then Devastation hit, guys. Devastation. I watched Handmaid's Tale season 5. Finally, I'm a big Handmaid's Tale fan. I'm behind on so many TV shows and I really wanted to catch up. And once I started watching it, I just could not stop. And I've had a lot of I've talked about this a lot on my Discord, but a lot of people every time I bring it up, they say, oh, I didn't really like last season or I didn't like this. If you don't like any of the other seasons, you're not going to like this season. I just want to put that out there. I loved everything that the show's put out, no matter how hard it is to watch, no matter how excruciating a lot of the characters' choices are, which makes sense with everything they've been through. I really enjoyed it, and I can't really like say what season 5's about because I don't want to ruin the rest of it, but if you haven't seen it, it's based on a book. It's about how America has changed into this Christian cult. That's how you could say it. Organized religion has taken over, and it's not good for anyone, especially the women. But season 5, if you watch the end of season 4, I'm trying to be cryptic. If you watch the end of season 4, there is a lot more that can happen and a lot more that can change, and it takes you there, and every single episode is so epic. The things that happen in this season, I never would have believed. Like, it's just all these situations you never would have thought would happen because you know the characters for so long. And because it is quite a political TV show, it's really interesting where they twist the narrative in this one and start talking about refugees. I just thought that the metaphors were fantastic, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I cried all the way through. So, but that's me. If you don't like the season 1, season 2, season 3, you will not like season 5. Just want to put the warning out there. But if you did like this series, this is the kick in the butt to watch season 5, because it's definitely worth it. And that's everything I watched this month. I want to know what you watched this month. After finishing Children of the Corn, I have a lot more time on my hands, so I want to catch up with what you guys are watching. For the next couple weeks, my channel is going to be a little bit different in terms of where my videos are going out, but still keep an eye out because I do have a lot of cool stuff coming up. It's just going to be more sporadic. Last week you got 3 videos. Next week you can get 3 videos, and then we're going to have a little bit of a gap in between some videos. I hope that's fine. I just need a break. And I'm going to Japan, so I'm really excited. So just keep an eye out, because I promise there's a couple of really cool lists coming out, and they will come out just randomly. But also, if you'd like to follow my trip in Japan, I'll be posting a bunch of stuff over on Instagram, like always. That's kind of my outlet. So if you want to come along with me to Japan, please do. My Instagram is just Spookyastronauts, and I'll see you there. But we've got a bunch of stuff before I go, and I'll see you very shortly for what's coming out on VOD in March video. It's coming right up. Have a great day, guys. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.